Hey everybody, welcome back. So I'm really stoked to be able to say that our group coaching course is going really well and we are just about to move into month 2. And in month 2, we're switching the discussion from understanding what it is that that's going on, why we have the issue, and how to transform it, how to unwire it. We're shifting over into talking more about targeting, talking more about what it is we want to be looking for and addressing during a psychedelic session in order to heal. So I thought it might be interesting to just kind of make a video for you guys here, for anyone who's not a member, and share with you a bit of my thoughts on this question of targeting and what it is we want to be turning our attention towards in a psychedelic experience. Because as you know, there's a lot that happens in a psychedelic experience. There's a lot of states, there's a lot of insights, there's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of experience that we have. And it can easily just be this like ever shifting rainbow of different experiences where we don't really know what to tune into, what to focus more on, what to go deeper with, what to think about, what to explore in order to get any sort of healing benefit out of it. So in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about what I think some of those things might be that you want to start to tune into a little bit more. That might be really useful and really helpful for you when it comes to healing. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so before we go ahead and get into the list of what these are, I just want to kind of caveat this a little bit that I do think that your success with being able to easily target different things to work on is going to vary for everyone depending on a wide variety of factors. But I want to just kind of give you a few here to kind of create the example here. So a lot of it's going to depend, of course, on how skillful you are and how comfortable you are with psychedelics in general. You know, are you brand new to them? Is this your first trip or your third trip? Or have you been doing them for the last year, couple years? You've got some familiarity and comfortability with psychedelics in general. All of that is going to translate into how much you're kind of razzle-dazzled by the experience versus being able to kind of sink into the experience and really navigate it and tune into what it is that you want to put your attention on. So that's a big one. Another big one would be just your literacy with psychology in general. So again, how comfortable are you with exploring, your own shadow, the unseen things about yourself, taking a meta perspective about yourself? How comfortable are you thinking in terms of ego and, different aspects of your identity, thinking in terms of different psychology models of like Jung, or even studying things like spirituality? And, if you're reading books like this, they're really going to help you to know what to look for or look at or how to work with what comes up a lot more than if you have no experience with any of that. You haven't learned a single thing. You're totally fresh and new to all of this, and you have no idea, how to even relate to kind of seeing these different aspects of yourself. Another one that's going to make a big difference is, how comfortable you are with surrendering to what your mind shows you. So one of the experiences in healing in general, but especially with psychedelics, is that our unconscious mind will present us emotions, thoughts, beliefs, perspectives, memories, experiences, body sensations, all as communications to tune us into what needs healing. Now, this is, again, very normal inside of doing personal healing work, but if you're not used to that kind of thing and you're not used to learning how to relax into and allow this kind of communication to happen, it can be frightening. It can be overwhelming. It can be confusing. And so, again, how comfortable you are with that really determines a lot about what it is that you will allow yourself to see, right? So if something comes up, if it's a taboo for you to look at whatever's coming up, then you may not really tune in to where the healing needs to go. But if you are, totally comfortable or willing to look at whatever comes up, that's going to go a long way in terms of helping you to target exactly what needs healing. And then in general, I think your experience with self-healing, like I just said, because of these kinds of dynamics where things kind of come up where we weren't expecting that, we didn't know that. The unconscious mind, or the nervous system, the deep intelligence, is trying to show us things and communicate and give us, pointers in the direction, help us tune into certain things. But if we aren't used to self-healing, if we don't have a journaling practice, or we don't go to therapy, or we're not used to doing self-inquiry, these kinds of things, then it can become harder to know how to tune into and what to tune into. So with all that being said, I want to kind of set up an understanding in general before I go ahead and get into what each of these are. So in general, when it comes to targeting with psychedelics, there's a lot of different ways we can go. There are a lot of facets to being a human being and having a human body and a human mind and a personal history and a lived experience, right? So there's obviously like a wide variety of places we can tune in and explore and look at and think about. There are different levels and layers to our being, and all of that is really kind of fair game in a psychedelic experience. But I think in general, there's a useful place to start that I think is pretty intuitive for a lot of people, and often a very natural place that people tend to go as they're starting to do some self-inquiry on psychedelics early on. And that would be to start to make this distinction between your current authentic self in the now, and all the different things I'm about to list off here. So if you're going through this process of sorting through and filtering through what is me? What do I really believe? What do I really feel? What is my truth? What is resonant for me? What is my living, breathing experience in this moment now as a human being at this stage in my life, whatever age you are and whatever is going on for you? What is authentically me in the now? And then comparing or contrasting that against these other facets of our experience, I think is a very intuitive, good place to start to make the distinctions between what's me, what's right, what's healthy, what's good, what's authentic, what's honest, what's real here, right? And start to just really sort that out. So in general, as a good starting point of a process, if we're going to start with that, let me start to just list off here some of the different things that you might be comparing and contrasting your authentic self in relationship to, and starting to discover what the difference there is. So the first one I think is the most obvious, the most intuitive, happens the most often here, is conditioning. Right. So whether that is the conditioning you went through just growing up and being socialized, whether that's social conditioning of the beliefs of the society you grew up in and the world around us, whether this is, things you learn from your parents, things you learn from other kids at school, what are the life experiences that were kind of wired into you, that were kind of repetitively drilled into you, or you just kind of implicitly absorbed and took in, that may not be authentic for you. And again, I think this is very commonly when I talk to people who are new to psychedelics, and this was true for me, this is the first place we often tend to start to have awareness and experience is, oh, whoa, there are all these beliefs and ideas and patterns of identification floating through me, through my mind, through the background of my consciousness that I wasn't even aware of was there, that I don't really agree with or believe in or align with, or there's certain things that I'm becoming aware I really believe in or I really align with, or I really, yes, that's my truth. And to start to make that distinction, between your authentic self and what's not authentic for you. What are the things your parents taught you that you don't agree with? What are the things that you learned on social media that you don't agree with? What are the behaviors that have maybe been kind of habituated into you that might be a little imbalanced or unhealthy or not really yours, not something you can take ownership of? Then conversely, what are the things that you have taken in, you've experienced, that you resonate with, that are really true for you, that are your values, that you want to take ownership of and really take as authentically yours, right? So comparing and contrasting conditioning is a good place to start. Another one that's kind of along a similar line here is your values. So quite simply, values are, what is important to you? What are the abstract things, principles, ideas, concepts, experiences that are deeply meaningful to you? So just broadly speaking, to kind of contextualize this and give you an example here, values might be something like, I value peace, or I value excitement, or I value play, or I value study, or I value wisdom, or intelligence, or kindness, or fairness, or freedom, or love, or family. These kind of abstract but important pieces of life experience, right? And to start to, again, distinguish, what are your values? Right? What do you really believe in? What do you really feel? What do you really resonate with? What's really important subjectively to you? So important that you almost can't imagine life could be any other way, right? Generally, values are things that are like, that move us, that motivate us, that could even bring us to tears if we allow ourselves to really go deep and open our heart to them. And they seem so real, so true, like the truthy truth, like the deep truth, that you can't imagine anybody not aligning with them, but they're yours. They're your values, right? And so starting to identify those versus what are maybe values that have been, again, put on you that you don't really care about, that isn't really your value system, or maybe are outdated. Maybe you had a certain value system when you were young that you don't anymore. And really starting to get clear with what your values are, because again, making this distinction, when you know what your values are, all of a sudden you feel alignment. You know what to do in your life. You know what actions to take that are going to be fulfilling. You know what directions to move in. You know how to be, who you are, what to self-express as your truth. Clarifying your values is huge. So another one here, for a lot of people, again, distinguishing between true self and not true self would be your hangups and your fears. What are the weird little quirks, if you will, that are boundaries of yours, things you're afraid of that other people wouldn't necessarily be afraid of, things that you are taboos to you that you believe other people shouldn't do, or you feel like you shouldn't do, that maybe are limiting you, holding you back, causing you undue suffering, causing you undue kind of neurotic anxiety. This is another great place to look and start to identify and get clear. Oh, not everyone has this hang up. Not everyone has this rule about themselves or about life. Not everyone, self-abandons in the same way that I do around this particular life experience. And start to get really clear. What are those? What are your fears? What are the places where you feel hesitant? And that starts to tune you in. And that might just even be like an awareness. Oh shit, I have a hang up about blah, 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 whatever it is, right? But then that starts to tune you in to where you can do some therapeutic work, some healing work, and transform it. Because I don't think hang-ups are really meant to, I think they're placeholders. I don't think they're really meant to be held on to for life. Instead of hang-ups, what we should have instead is clear boundaries. I won't do that. I will do that. This is something I'm okay with letting go of. That's something I'm not okay with letting go of. And being really clear and moving towards the things that we value and that are important to us, and letting go comfortably of the things that are outside of our value system. And so getting clear of your hangups frees you up to live life more fully, more deeply, more completely, to have fulfillment. Because often where our hangups are the thing that might be deeply fulfilling to us, but for whatever reason, there's something in the way. So getting clear with that, again, distinguishing what your hangups are. And again, contrasting that, getting into a really blissed out, very aligned, very healthy, centered, for lack of a better term, high vibrational state inside of yourself. And then reflecting on, these fears you have, or these, blocks you have, or these hangups you have, and becoming more aware of how they limit your life and what they are, and how they compare or contrast to this kind of truth, this core truth of who you really are. Another example along a similar line here would be attachments, right? So what are things that you're holding on to that in an unhealthy way? What are relationships, people, experiences, memories, desires, unfulfilled things that you never got to do? What else are common? Yeah, you get the point, right? What are we holding on to that is, we're holding on too tightly and it's causing us pain, or it's causing other people pain, or it's just awkward, or it doesn't fit, and it's kind of creating rigidity or inflexibility or discomfort in our lives that maybe it's time to loosen up our grip with. Maybe that means letting go altogether, or maybe that just means lightening up about. What are you attached to that if you just had a more balanced relationship to would improve your quality of life? This is another one to start to make that distinction, and are you your attachments? When you're in that deeply aligned core self experience, that healthy, whole, complete, fulfilled self experience, think about these attachments, and, is it healthy? Is it important? Why are you attached? Where did the attachment come from? It can start to tune you in to, again, a great place to start to work, with psychedelics. Another one would be unconscious habits, right? So this is often in our blind spot because it's unconscious, right? We don't often recognize the things that we do habitually and automatically, unless either we're being recorded, someone gives us some feedback about it, or we've done it enough times that we realize that, I go unconscious and I do this thing out of habit and it's not cool, But to start to identify what that is exactly, what are your unconscious habits that shape your life, your life experience, and quite frankly, if you are fulfilled or not. And, again, really reflect on, is that me? Is that really my truth? Is that something that just got habituated into me? Is that something I want to keep? Why is that important? What am I getting out of that? What could be better? Is there another way to get what I want that this habit is kind of doing for me in a healthier way, right? Start to make these distinctions about your unconscious habits so that they become conscious, so that you become aware of, again, what the difference is there and what's driving this unconscious habit of yours. Another one would be projections. So, what are ways? So projection is generally, we look out and we assume, well, there's two different meanings of projection. There's the colloquial, and then there's kind of the more technical. More technical is we look at others and we accuse them of doing things that we ourselves do, but we're blind and not seeing that we do. It's a blind spot of ours, right? So that's the more technical version. The more colloquial version of projections would be we look out and we assume we know people's intent. We assume we know where people are coming from. We assume we know why people do what they do. We assume we know all kinds of stuff about the world that we just can't really know. Right. And this is another one that has a huge impact on your quality of life, on your happiness, on your health, on your well-being, on your relationships in specific. That, again, if you really want to start to heal and wake up and improve and level up as a human being, you're going to have to start to look at your projections and get really self-honest with what you don't know, or what you haven't considered about a person or an experience or a habit or, something going on in the world around you. And start to own your own projections as projections. And, you might still believe it, but you can at least start to be like, oh, I'm projecting. Oh, I don't know if that's really true. Same thing when you're blaming others, when you're doing that more technical form of projection, where you're blaming somebody else for something you yourself do. Same thing, to start to learn to look, oh, I do that same thing too. Oh, am I blaming somebody else for something that I do myself, and become more self-aware of your own projections. And the last one I'm going to offer in the video here would be outdated beliefs. So, again, what are some, things you believe that seem true according to your belief system that may no longer serve you, that may no longer help you? Yeah, it's kind of a cheesy cliche here, but I'm off the top of my head. If you were an ugly duckling, in grade school that got teased because you had too big of glasses and whatever else, right? This is kind of a cheesy movie trope, but we'll just roll with it. But then you had a, glow up moment in high school or college, and now you're super, physically attractive, and people let you know all the time that you are. But inside, you still believe that you are the ugly duckling. That would be an outdated belief. It's no longer accurate. It's no longer true. So there's often, for a lot of us, a lot of these that we are kind of carrying around beliefs about ourselves, about, people, about our relationships and people in our lives, about the world, about, society, etc., that are really worth looking at and exploring and being like, is that still serving me? Is that still accurate in my life at this stage of my life? Is that still something I benefit from believing? Where is this belief coming from? How does it fit into the context of the rest of who I'm becoming and my growth path forward, right? So this is another great place to look and start to explore. That'll show you a lot, that'll show you, maybe what needs healing, what needs resolving. And I think that's kind of true in general with all of these here, is that these are great kind of little entry points into healing work, into, oh, okay, that's something I could tune up. That's something I could resolve for myself. That's something I could fix and heal because that's still bugging me. That doesn't feel good. So I hope this is making sense. Again, targeting, there's a whole wide range of stuff we could be talking about when it comes to being a human being and human experience and what to target and turn your attention to in the sacred space, let's say, of the psychedelic experience. But I think that these constitute some really useful, beneficial starting points for a lot of you if you're wanting to do some sort of personal healing work or personal development work or what have you. So anyways, I'm going to wrap the video there. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff that I never ask you to do. And leave a comment below if you resonate with something I said here. And I will have a new video for you ASAP. Much love to you all. I hope you have a beautiful moment in time, day or night, wherever you are. Take care.